Hey friends, I am Kori with Kori and Jared Photography, and I am so stinking excited that you are here hanging out with us today. We have a heart to just encourage people to take that next step forward, right? And that looks like so many different things in all of the different seasons of life, but what we can agree on is that even the littlest of steps sometimes just require a whole lot of courage. And so we love connecting with other people who just have that same heart. So today we are hanging out with Amy Wolff of Don't Give Up Signs, and she's just going to share with us the message of what they do, why they do it, and why they share that heart with us, right? To cheer people on to not give up. And so today's story is an incredible, powerful one, and I am so excited that you are here. I am so excited to share it with you, and yes, do not give up. Here we go, friends. All right, guys, I am so excited. We are hanging out today with Amy Wolff of Don't Give Up Signs. And so I just wanted to hear her heart as she shares just a little bit about who she is and why she is doing what she is doing. So go for it, friend.
Hi, I'm Amy. I live in Newberg, Oregon, which is just south of Portland. If any of you have ever been wine tasting in Oregon, you've probably come through Newberg. And I am excited to share with you about this crazy, accidental, global movement that my family and I started. Gosh, it's been about 2.5 years now.
That's awesome. And so you are a public speaker, you are a speaking coach, you are a wife and a mama, and all of those things. And then you guys created just the Don't Give Up Signs movement.
Yes, I did not have time for it. I did not intend it. It was definitely by accident because I don't know. I mean, yes, I would choose this if I knew what was coming, but it's been pretty nuts. So I'll walk you through what's happened and what I've learned and all the things.
I love it.
In April of 2017, we were sitting with a group of friends. We are 4 young families and a couple women from church, and we sit and we talk about life, really, and football and school and parenting. But one of our friends was a teacher in the school district, and he said, you guys would never believe the suicide rates in our community. And I don't even remember the number. I just remember the feeling of, oh my gosh, what on earth? What can I do? And I'm not qualified. I'm not a therapist. I have never myself suffered with mental illness. I don't have anyone near me in my immediate family who has suffered from it. So I'm at a total loss, in the dark, but I'm a doer. Anyone who knows me knows that Amy just takes action on things. Are you too?
I love it, yes. And my husband often makes fun of me because sometimes there's some fallout of like things to figure out on the backside. And so we throw some stuff to the wall and we kind of figure out what sticks. And you feel like, but I feel like that's how you figure out what our community needs. That's how you figure out what is important to put your time and heart and investment in. And so I love that. I love it. Keep going.
Well, it was no surprise to my group of friends that I would sit there and go, what do we do about it? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, oh, we do something. Well, for years, I had this idea. For years about, it was something I would see in my mind's eye every few months. It just wouldn't go away. And it was this vision of really simple white signs with words, don't give up. And I would see them flash in my mind in different moments and just think that's weird. That's nonsense. That means nothing. But that night in April of 17, I thought, I have to do something. Gosh dang it, I'm just going to print these signs that I've been thinking about for so long. And so I threw it out to Facebook land. Man, yard signs are expensive. Does anyone have access to cheaper yard signs that I could do custom and print? And I had an acquaintance from college. Her name's Jessica, a graphic designer. And she said, I do. I have access to basically the sign printer and what do you want? So I asked Jake, okay, they're kind of expensive. They're $7 a sign. We have to order at least 10. Let's buy 20. Like, are you all in? Because I'm so frugal. So that seemed like a ton of money. It was $140. I'm like, oh my gosh. And Jake's like, sure. So it was a rainy Saturday afternoon in Oregon. And my girls were, gosh, 4 and 7 at the time. And we loaded them up in the car, and I was putting the stakes in the trunk, and we were going to go find lawns to put the signs in around town. And I remember putting them in the trunk thinking, this is the dumbest idea I've ever had. You're an idiot. This is embarrassing. The fact you thought this would help people, like, ooh, that's too bad. And I remember being so flooded with it. And then thinking I was $140 in and my 2 kids were already buckled in the car. I'm doing it. I'm like, there's no turning back. So we did. We went and stuck these signs in people's yards with permission. We went specifically around the high school and really high visible houses and areas and knocked on strangers' doors and said, can we put this in your yard for 2 weeks? And when they saw it, no agenda, nothing political, no website, no hashtag, not fundraising, not a church, not religious, not an organization, but just a young family trying to do something.
Yes.
They didn't hesitate. And there was one door I knocked on like, oh no, like this just very intimidating man. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to do this thing. And he's like, absolutely. And he took it out of my hand. So I drove home thinking, has anyone seen them yet? Has anyone had a reaction to them? I wonder what people think. But it was anonymous and there was no way to know. So I just, whatever. It's just whatever. Well, very quickly, Facebook blew up. We have a community Facebook page. Where are these signs from? Does anyone know? Pick people taking pictures with them. Yeah. And finally decided that we should not be anonymous, but help facilitate more sign orders because people wanted them. And the signs didn't just say, don't give up. They said, your mistakes don't define you and you are worthy of love.
I love it. I literally just got chills like on my arms. I love that.
I mean, imagine you're driving home from work. It's been a super long day. You're driving home and you know you're walking into the house and it's going to be chaotic. Maybe in your relationship with your partner, things have been super tense lately, or maybe you just got laid off and you don't know how to come home and tell people, or man, depression has just been that dark blanket that you just cannot shake. And you're driving home to put the mask back on, to hold it together, to make dinner. And you, on your drive home, pass by a yard that had a simple sign that said, don't give up. And you look in your rearview mirror and it says, you're worthy of love. It doesn't solve your problems, but it gives you this stirring of hope of, man, was that for me? Like, that was for me on my drive home today. And that was the response we were getting from people. Is it wasn't just for depression or anxiety, but people going through cancer, people going through a divorce, people in all different walks of life, health scares, addiction, who were seeing the messages on the signs and applying it to whatever suffering and pain they were feeling. So it became important, impactful, fast. And within 4 days, we had over 150 signs ordered for just our small town of Newburgh.
Wow.
And then the day came when I got a message from a gal from Dallas, Texas. She found us on Facebook and said, I was driving through Newburgh visiting a friend. I saw these signs and thought, what on earth? Because there's 150. I mean, they're all over now. And what on earth are these signs? And Googled you, found you, and I want to know how to get these signs in Dallas, Texas. I am a nutritionist and life coach supporting people who suffer with eating disorders. And these messages are for them.
Yeah.
And I thought, Dallas, Texas, what on earth? And then a family from church road tripped from Portland, Oregon to Rochester, New York. And they left stickers. I mean, we started to expand what we offered, stickers and car decals and yard signs all over the country in every rest stop, gas station, restaurant, bathroom. And it spread. Yeah. Within a few days, I had friends saying, you need to connect the people who are finding out about this. So we created Instagram and a Facebook, a bank account to try to keep it all straight because I had requests and money coming in from all over. I remember being completely overwhelmed that first week, and my husband said, it's time to make a website. I mean, it just happened so fast.
Right.
I remember I called my friend Vanjie. She's been my phone a friend this process. Like, Vanj, something happened. It became a thing. People want this. People want it for all kinds of reasons. And now people are requesting different translations. And are we a business? Are we a nonprofit? Are we a movement? And so she said, do you want to make money? And I said, no, I have my dream job I make enough. I'm not really interested. I don't care about the money. Okay, you're not a business. Do you want to be a nonprofit? I said, I don't even know what that would look like legally. And plus, I feel like if we do something like that, we're committing, like we're going to make this a thing. And at this point, it was so organic. I mean, there's no branding on the sign, nothing on the products. It was so organic that I thought, I don't want to force this. Maybe it fizzles out in a month, and that's okay. I'm just holding it all so loosely. She said, well, it sounds like you're a movement. I said, let's be a movement. What do you think? She said, sure. And so it quickly spread in the first, I think in a year and a half, we had product shipped to all 50 states and brought to 27 different countries and in several different languages. And like I said, our products expanded and our messaging, now you matter, you are enough, one day at a time, you got this, just encouraging words to stir up hope.
Right.
And all sold at cost. We don't make a dime. It's definitely at least a part-time job, and I did not have time for that, but it's been so worth it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I think what it does, right, like is in a culture that moves so stinking fast, and, we're so caught up in the day-to-day of just surviving a lot of times. I feel like you create an opportunity for people to press pause. And I think, even in this conversation, like I was just thinking about how, we take this conversation and make a difference, right? Like obviously, like the goal is that, you would hear about the signs, you would want to share those signs with other people too. But I think I love how simple it is and how organic it is and how it's so important to pause long enough to think about somebody else. And that could be as simple as a stinking text message, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To tell somebody that they matter. Or, putting a sign in their yard.
One of the crazy, wild byproducts of the movement has been a recent book deal, which is crazy, really crazy and beautiful and wonderful. And I get to tell the stories of people who have chosen to use our signs and tokens to help with their own healing journey, to honor someone they've lost, to suicide, all sorts of stories of people choosing to do something. Yes. Not just with our signs either, but it's a collection of what does it look like to love well? And what does it look like to take empathetic action? And one of the things that I'm writing right now, I don't know, I'm making this up. I've never written a book, but one of the concepts is this idea that we think something's not enough to make a big difference.
Yeah.
For me, August 9th, every year, I get text messages from a few people. And it's because at some point they wrote down in their calendar that on August 9th every year, I need extra love. Because in 1998, I was 14 years old and I witnessed the drowning of my brother, Jeremy, who was 18. And that day is a day that my family sees coming on the calendar weeks and weeks in advance. And I have friends who put that date in their calendar and reach out to me faithfully. Is that a big deal? No. Is that changing the world? No. Do I feel immense love and hope when people just send a small, yes. Yeah, it changes me. It fills me up. Right. So I can pour out and I can give and I can heal. So one of the things that I've learned is you just really can't diminish small acts of kindness. I mean, we hear that. It's so cliche. And it kind of bothers me that I created a movement out of such cliche phrases. The messages are so simple and so cliche, and it hurts me a little bit because I'm so against cliches and I'm against one-liners that are meant to band-aid wounds and try to solve people's suffering and hurry their healing. But the reaction I've gotten from people with these messages they are simple is that they were simple enough that they could read the hope for themselves in whatever they were suffering with. And so I just embrace simple can be profound and important.
Yes, it can. Well, and I think there's so much power in just knowing that you're not alone, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that we still, I was in a really bad accident this year. I broke a lot of things and I was broken and I mean, my neck and face and all that stuff. And I still had to do the work, right? Like I still had to, take the walks and gain the strength and learn to walk and to talk and to eat again. but yet to know that somebody would take that walk with me, right? Or the text message of, hey, I am thinking about you, or, you know, just all of that little tiny stuff, right? Like it didn't change anything that I still had to do.
Right.
But to know that I wasn't alone in it made all the difference in the world.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Was there any attempts at encouragement that were the opposite for you? That people thought they were trying to help and show up and show empathy and kindness, and you're like, I see your heart, but bless you, that was not helpful to hear. Okay. Or
I'm going to share one, and we can laugh about this a little bit. I was wired shut. So I was wired shut for like 6 weeks, right? And after I was unwired, I did have somebody just say to me, I totally thought you would have lost more weight.
No.
Totally. And I just laughed. And my response to that, which I laugh on this side of things, and I'm super, I mean, this is going out everywhere. So, you know, whatever. We can laugh at my expense. Yeah. The truth is, yes, like you do, like you lose a whole lot of weight, but when you get unwired, right? Like you only eat what is soft and like chewy. And so that meant that I ate ice cream, cookie dough, like I can't even do cookies. Like we just went straight to the dough, right?
Oh,
brownies and everything. But you know, I think, you know, for the most part, there was some stuff, there were comments, right, that people said. And so maybe if they said too many words, you're kind of sitting here going, I don't know about that one. Which maybe it gives credence to like your point, right? Like simple is better. Just go with good job.
Yeah. When my brother died, being in a faith community, I think sometimes is the worst cliches come out.
Yeah.
You know, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle, things like that. And I want to call BS. That's not fair. Oh, somehow I was deemed worthy of this terrible suffering because someone thought I was strong. I mean, anyway, they were not helpful. And I don't even know if they were theologically true for me. And so I struggled with, not only are we grieving our own whatever kind of pain, suffering, challenge we're going through, but as you know, and people know, then on top of that, you have to navigate other people's reaction to your pain.
Yeah.
And it requires so much grace to say, that was dumb. That was not helpful. Yeah. Oh, that was a nice effort.
Yes.
And to extend so much grace in the midst of struggling and in the midst of pain. It feels like an impossible task, but I think that's part of it.
Right.
Yeah. Instead, maybe just, this is what I tell people. Sometimes I'll have people contact me and say, I know you've been through loss. I haven't to this extent that my other friend is suffering. What can I say to them? What can I do? Like, help me out. And the simplest answer is put the date in the calendar. Be the one that remembers in 4 years, in 5 years. And that includes, for me, it's my cousin and her sobriety day. It's in my calendar and I text her, you know, every year on her anniversary of her sobriety to celebrate, right? To remember. But it's to reach out. It's I'm so sorry, but I'm here.
Right.
It's not that don't go silent because you don't know what to say, because that is so isolating.
Well, and I feel like even just in the last, probably about a month ago, a dear friend of mine lost her child in a tragic accident. And, you know, we have this awfully beautiful and awful at the same time Facebook reminders, right? And so her child pop up in my memories. And, you know, I sent her a screenshot and I just said, friend, I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't even know the right words. It's been, you know, years, but I just want you to know that I thought of you and I thought of your child today. And, you know, that memory is important, you know, and it's important to, you know, and so I think it's okay to let it be awkward a little bit too, right? Like it's better than not saying something at all and acknowledging the awkwardness. We just shared another story of just grief and that same thing. That was her message of like, it's okay that you don't know what to say. Yeah. I would rather you say, I don't know what to say, but I'm here versus say something hurtful.
I think the other challenge, not only when we hear pain and suffering, do we not know what to say? Let's say it's more removed. Let's say we're scrolling through Facebook and it's another headline. It's another shooting. It's another, it's opioid crisis. Just fill in the blank. War. Just all the things. Sex trafficking rings exposed. We're so flooded all this pain and suffering. And it's really easy to just have compassion fatigue, throw up our hands, like, and what good can I really do? Scroll. To absolve the guilt really of not doing anything, we resolve to, well, we can't, what am I going to do? I'm not an expert. I don't have time. I mean, I don't know. And I think there's well intention, but I think the second part is just to do kind of what you said with your friend, is just do something. You know, you don't have to solve their problems. We don't want heroes and capes.
No.
We just want people to come alongside. And sometimes that takes empathetic action. And when it is pain and suffering that feels removed and not personal, it's the donate to the thing, or do a fundraiser, or have the hard conversation, or, I mean, it could be so many things. But one of the things that I learned from the movement is the beauty of just choosing to do something, whether it amounts to this big, crazy global thing or nothing at all. Do it anyway. Don't wait for someone more perfect. Don't wait for someone who has more money, more networking, whatever, more time.
Yeah.
But choose to do something with whatever is within your capacity.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just a text message.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I love those things that are, just unmotivated by anything other than I care, right? You matter and you are important to me. And so, yes. Well, our heart is definitely to encourage people just to take that next step forward, right? Like our sharing our stories kind of came out of that accident, right? Like it was me sharing the story of my brokenness, literally physical brokenness, and knowing that we had steps to take, and how do we do that? And so that's kind of why we love sharing the stories of other people too, is because there are a lot of other people doing incredible things, right? Like, but we don't always pause long enough to see them. And so how do we then share those stories of other people? And so I love that not only are you encouraging people, but you took tangible steps, right? Like you made that hope tangible. You made, you gave other people ways to love and encourage other people too. One story that I did kind of tell me, there was a story on your website where you talked about a social worker. Can you share that story? We are very passionate. The story was about how she was in court.
Oh yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about. She was in court and she was trying to help a mama be fully capable and present as a mama, and had to navigate a court system after making some bad decisions, I believe. I don't know a lot of the details, but at one of the meetings with this mom who was legitimately trying to pull her stuff together to rise up to this responsibility of being a healthy mom. Yeah. And in a meeting, the caseworker had given the mom a wristband that said, "You matter. Don't give up."
Yes.
And she went into court one day with the mom, had an appointment with the judge, and looked over and saw her wristband.
I love that.
That the mama was wearing it, and that she was wearing one, and that we're in this together. And here's someone who made mistakes. And here's someone, I don't know her whole story, but here's someone who's genuinely trying to right wrongs and needs someone to believe in them. Yes. And then believe in themselves. Borrow it until we believe it for us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I love foster care. We've grown our family through foster adoption. And so when I saw that story on your website, I was like, I stinking love it. I love, again, just all of the different ways and places that your message has an impact.
We are in really crazy places. We are in a big prison system here in Oregon, women's correctional facilities, I should say, where it started with just a few wristband or cards, I think, coming in. We have little encouragement cards, look like business cards.
Yeah. And
they got approved because it's just paper, and the inmates were putting them in their name tags in the back. So when they were walking down the hallway, you could just see, you matter. Your mistakes don't define you. Yes. And eventually it took a year to get approval, but they got it approved to buy 4,000 wristbands, one wristband for each inmate, and correctional officer, staff, and donor to all the people involved in this particular facility. And that just floors me. And then other prison systems who didn't approve it, but agreed to put a wristband in every outgoing, I guess you get your possessions back when you leave, and they would put them in the possession bag when they left. It was so beautiful. Or a woman who works at an addiction treatment facility who said, I'm going to buy, I think she bought like 400 pins, and I emailed her, what are you doing with these? Like, I'm so curious where these go. I don't know who's using them and how they're used. So sometimes, can you tell me what you're doing with these? I'm just trying to help people that are, are addicts and they need constant encouragement. And gosh, I could just go story after story. Schools, so many schools, sadly in response to suffering on campuses with students in mental health. A lot of families, I remember meeting a mom in a parking lot once and not knowing her story. And it was urgent though, like I need 200 wristbands by this weekend. And normally we don't do in-person drop-offs. I thought something's up. So I agreed. And sure enough, her son had committed suicide and she wanted the wristbands to be handed out at his memorial service. And so people are using, I think what's beautiful about, to be honest, what accidentally started over here was that it's giving something people to do that don't know what else to do. So the family that's totally grief-stricken, but wants to spread the hope and love to maybe spare another family, or, oh gosh, all sorts of reasons. It's given people a token to do something. And so there's sign rallies happening all over the country where people are just standing out with signs. This week it was at an Air Force base. The suicide rates among the airmen this year was startling to a particular Air Force base in New Mexico. So they had about a dozen officers stand on the way to work, the hours of incoming workers. They stood and did sign rallies at each of the 3 incoming gates. And the response was tremendous. So you get people choosing to use our things as a way to engage their community, to make people feel seen and not alone, and to just, again, not solve problems, because therapy does that, and medical support does that. I mean, there's so many other awesome nonprofits in all sorts of ways, but it stirs up hope. And we've gotten so many messages that, it was the right sign at the right place at the right time, and it saved my life. I mean, we've gotten so many of those. I think you don't know. No. So you just do something and you hold it loosely. Yeah.
Well, friend, tell me about where we can find you. Obviously, as we share all this fun stuff, we'll add the links to all that too. But how do we find you? How do we stay connected to what you guys are doing?
Yeah. Well, when I have a group of students from the University of Mississippi, I think, giving me an analysis of our social media and digital marketing. And the first question they asked is, so what are your business goals? And I said, none. And they said, well, how do you want to know? And I said, I make no plan. And they're like, well, who manages your social media? Me. So when you say we, you mean you? Yes. And my 2 board members, but so on our social media, I manage it. It is Don't Give Up Signs. And then I think Facebook is Don't Give Up Signs Movement, but you can find it really quickly. Even a quick Google search and you'll be able to see all the different news coverage all over the country, including the Washington Post and Good Morning America and all sorts of crazy coverage. So you can find us pretty easily if you don't remember that.
Very cool. And we will add all the links to make it even easier, but just in case somebody's listening and isn't to all of those things. So, well, friend, I am so thankful for your time. I am so thankful for your heart, just to encourage other people. And I am super excited too, because at the end of, as we kind of share this story, we'll also have some photos of places that we have actually used your signs too. So when we are taking it to the streets of our little town and community, and I cannot wait to share that with you as well. So,
well, thank you. Thank you for giving people a platform to share their stories, that we can be reminded that we're all in this together.
We are all in this together, and it takes us all together to make a difference, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. We were so pumped to share today's story with you. We hope that some small part of their story resonated with you. We hope that you were encouraged to keep moving forward. And today's story was made possible by our incredible supporters, and you can find their information as well as the information of our storytellers on our blog, as well as on this story's post. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we cannot wait to share our next story with you.